Once again, welcome back to Quick Questions for Lent. Ashley, get us started.
We are flipping to John, the Gospel of John. Jesus is God, right? And he gets baptized. Does he have to be baptized? It seems like yes, Jesus does have to be baptized. It's part of who he is as a human, and as he begins his ministry, this happens before that.
Still in the Gospel of John, where are we? What is this stairway between heaven and earth? This is at the end of John chapter 1, verse 50. John chapter 1 is a fascinating book. It's a parallelism with most of the Old Testament early books, the Pentateuch. So in the first verse of John chapter 1, we see a retelling of the creation account. In the beginning, the Word was with God. And then in verse 50, we see this vision of an angel, a stairway between heaven and earth with angels ascending and descending. This parallels with a vision that Jacob had in the Old Testament in the book of Genesis of angels ascending and descending. And so what John is doing is he's tying Jesus into the Old Testament patriarchs to help us and his readers see that Jesus has authority going all the way back to before creation.
Well, who is this John guy, and where did he come from, and why does his writing sound so different? Each of the Gospels are a little bit different. The first three, Matthew, Mark, and Luke, are called synoptic, same eye. John's coming at the story of the life, death, and resurrection of Jesus from a little different angle and perspective, and so he writes a little bit differently, but he's one of Jesus' 12 disciples.
Yeah. We flip to 2 Samuel in the Old Testament. They're moving the Ark of the Covenant in 2 Samuel. An ox stumbles, and one of the guys helping to carry it touches the ark to stabilize it and then dies for it. And people think this is really weird, and that doesn't seem cool because isn't he helping God? I think rather than saying God is mean and that's unfair, I think what we see is God's power and God's holiness, that one touch of this sacred thing ended in mortal death for this man.
God makes a covenant with David, going back to the Old Testament, 2 Samuel chapter 7. It's a big covenant. God basically promises David that a descendant from his family line will sit on the kingdom of God's throne forever. And that seems to be a pretty high promise to put out there for David, but it actually is fulfilled. Jesus, we're told through all of the gospel accounts, is in the family line of David, and Jesus as God's son is the Messiah, the king of all creation forever and ever.
And we're back in the Old Testament. Instead of one kingdom, at some point there are now two kingdoms, Israel and Judah, the northern kingdom and the southern kingdom. What happened there? Civil war, family dysfunction in the family of David and Solomon, sons fighting over who gets to be the king. Isn't it interesting? The more things change, the more they stay the same. And division, which leads to countries being divided, it's not good. Let's figure out how we can live together peacefully.
Thanks for joining us.